We are live, Mr. Raider. Hello.
Hello. Nice
And
to see you,
I
Mona.
seriously put a note in the chat. I am horrible at keeping up with chat while I am trying to talk because my brain doesn't work both ways. So I will try as best as I can. Eric, I don't know if you have your chat. Are you streaming?
No.
Oh, okay. And so I will try and keep up as best as I can. Sir Crepitus might be able to come on and then we can have him help
Beautiful.
do the
Beautiful.
chat.
Beautiful.
So I titled today Exposing Scientology's Battle Plan. Same shit, different year. And I'm not monetized yet, so I can say shit. Because seriously, that's what it is. It's the same stuff every year.
Right.
And Eric, we've only got a couple of people on, but if we'll say hello to a few people. Eaglewood is on.
Eaglewood.
Eaglewood, yay. And I don't know who else is on, or else I would say hello to him. Antidepressant had left a question for us that said, do any of you consider Scientology auditing of children alone to be a form of child abuse? And why or why not?
Absolutely.
I'll let you answer it first, Eric.
Well, as a child auditor, um, it was. You can't just put it by itself, though. It goes with some other issues, which is being treated like an adult, first of all. And when you're 10 years old and you're treated like an adult, it's already spooky. And then when
Right.
adults are coming to you for help, when you naturally want to go to them for help, that's really twisted. And then when you find out some super dark and awful things that you never even imagined occurred in real life, that's incredibly damaging. And to have to hold it together as if you were a 35-year-old Green Beret when you're a scared 10-year-old is horrific. And to keep your TRs in and your worksheets correct and working your tone arm and your readings and everything and delivering, everything in present time and properly, blah, blah, blah. The pressure is incredible. Now, when you're on the other side of it, when you're holding the cans as a kid, what really gets brutal is when they keep trying to find earlier similar stuff, right? And you've been making everything up. Like I literally had to make everything up.
Right.
Because all I had done to that point was pick my nose, right? So how am I supposed to? I just had to keep
How do you make up things convincingly though, Eric?
because they trained me to. They trained me to countless hours of TRs, countless. So people had to get through me just to pass their TRs on the Pro TRs course when I was on the NED course. They would pull me out. If you couldn't pass Eric's bull bait, you couldn't even continue. You couldn't even pass that. So I played a role, just like if I was on television or something. Like I played a role, like I was in control. I could quote you any LRH reference. I was able to speak with the the CSs and get very well dones and everything like anyone else who was 40 as a little kid. And I was able to convince everybody, knowing what the end phenomenons were of everything I did, that I had achieved that, and that I had. But I also knew everyone else was lying too. Okay, because I know you don't get any gains off of this stuff.
Okay.
When I finished the M1 co-audit, I knew that me and my twin were attesting to BS. But we would still be on it was right when we moved from La Brea to the Manor, to the Celebrity Center on Franklin.
Okay.
Okay. I was auditing on the fire escapes because they hadn't even gotten the auditing rooms ready yet. Okay. But the pressure, you turn into, it's like different personalities. Like that's why when I studied this in my teens, like I looked at MK Ultra, and it really reminded me of Scientology, where like you get the pressure is so great that you adopt other personalities to save you.
Okay.
So I would become Eric the auditor, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that was a fearless person who could confront anything and get through it and smile and shake your hand and go home like the world's my oyster, when I would just be horrified. But you can't let anyone see you that way. So I couldn't let my mom see me. I couldn't let, so you keep selling yourself down this path that's ruining you. But you're doing it for the love and affection and attention of the people you care about.
And some
So you're just,
self-preservation.
yeah, and then you start getting in this
Yeah.
incredible matrix game that just ruins you mentally, because you have to become somebody you never were over and over again. And I would get physical. Like I remember dry heaving before going into session.
Yeah.
Um, but you can't, if you let your emotions show, you would just end up in ethics. So you learn quickly what you can and can't do. And it's a hell
Uh,
and a mental prison that there's no escaping. Um, and you live it 24 hours a day. But you might have 2-3 minutes to yourself in your room before you go to sleep, where you just pray it all goes away. So it was it was an incredibly dark time.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to go through it. I'm sorry that recalling it hurts you too, because you can see the pain. I'm sorry. That's are you guys in a heat wave down there? We're in major humidity here.
Yeah.
So, kind of to that point, I got a fly that's messing with me. Is talking about their battle plans, and I wanted to step back just a little bit and say the overall battle plan, looking at what is on plan and what is off plan. So, on plan, the basic plan of L. Ron Hubbard was, darn fly, was to clear the planet. That was his that's the main plan. There's one underneath it, but the main plan. Can you give me an elevator definition of what clear the planet is?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like 51% of people going clear, and then it would all take care of itself, was the way I remembered it. And
Well, what is going clear?
what?
What is going clear?
Oh, by not having your reactive mind anymore.
Okay.
So, but again, LRH oversold it so much so that I even had issues. Like what's so funny about Scientology in a way is that they force you to figure out it's bullshit. Because like I never had a harder time in my life than reading the book Dianetics. And I put it off, right? It was like I couldn't get through 6 pages. It's just the most ill-written book I've ever seen in my life. And boring and gross and just it was just so anyway, but he does make it clear that about 100 hours of co-auditing and you could go clear. So you and me just we take the book, right, for $5. We book one each other, and we can go clear in 20 to 100 hours. But all of a sudden, I'm in the academy. Okay, I've been studying for 3 years full time, and now I'm on this course going to take 2 years. And I'm like, why does it take so long?
Right?
Why does this take 2 years and $100,000? I thought you could do it for $5 and 20 to 100 hours.
Yeah, that's the original claim, right? So that's what L. Ron Hubbard's Dianetics, that was his original plan was to clear the planet. His secondary claim and goal underneath that was to eliminate psychiatry.
Right.
So the first goal is to clear the planet. The second goal is it came about because of whatever happened was to eliminate psychiatry. And to clear the planet, to stay on plan, you have the Scientologists, and the Scientologists that were there did three different things: auditing, ethics handling. As I said, I'm going way back to basics here because it's going to explain the next steps. Auditing, ethics handling, and courses.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? Auditing is basically your one-on-one counseling sessions. Your ethics handling is you did wrong. This is what you need to repent of your sins. You bad
Yeah.
boy, you. And courses are your bridge to total freedom.
uh,
So within those three things, as long as the Scientologists are doing that, you stay on plan to meet the goal of everybody going clear.
yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Then you have the non-Scientologists within that realm. And those are the ones that could be iffy. They could be Scientologists. They could go clear. We need to recruit them. We need to educate them. We need to get them on board of becoming Scientologists to build them up so everybody can go clear.
Right.
So that's the plan. That's the ultimate plan. Now the battle plan starts when you have non-Scientologists that um, that just don't understand it yet. So those need to be brought into the fold. Then you have the non-Scientologists, the never-ends we call now, which are completely anti-Scientology. And then you have the ex-Scientologists, the SP squirrels. I guess they're SPs. The never-ends are the squirrels, right?
No, the X's would be squirrels. The never
Okay,
ends wouldn't be squirrels because they don't even know anything. So they couldn't be a squirrel. You have to alter the tech to be a squirrel in
you're right.
Scientology. So
You're right.
what squirreling is altering the tech.
So those three categories of people are off the plan, and they continue to try and take the Scientologists that are on the plan, trying to knock them off. So their battle plan has always been to reduce the number of the ex-Scientologists, the people that are off the plan, that are trying to take out Scientology. And I'm trying to make this as simple as possible so that way people that have never maybe understood it or haven't been involved with doing this protesting, or maybe even just a refresher course for those that have been. I
Okay.
know this is like total old news for you, and I'm sorry that it goes so
No,
basic.
I'm happy to help it any way I can. I don't care. I know, by the
So,
way, every single time you talk, there's someone who has no idea what you're talking. So it's perfect. You need to do this.
exactly. Education is the key in this. So, looking at all the old videos, I put one in my description of the channel here. It was an old video from Julian Dory and Mark Bunker about this exact issue of the history of Scientology, how it happened, what happened down in Florida, how Mark Bunker got involved even in California. Just an incredible video. And then I looked through all the FBI files that I was gifted, looking through the dump of FBI claims that are there.
Mhm.
And then somebody gifted and privileged me with some OSA files from the past.
Okay.
So I've been fervently reading through those files, thousands of them, and many of them are mundane, don't make a hill of beans. They're just memos, or they're just stuff of nature, of business nature. Some of them are incriminating, and I can't believe the FBI didn't jump on them when they were given them. But most of them I found are showing a repetition and a pattern of what their battle plan was and is.
Yeah.
And L. Ron Hubbard's policy and writing was one, um, always attack, never defend. I'm just kind of paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And always, when you're dealing with an attack, start with education and good PR, move to black PR, and then move to litigation in that order. So I want to talk about how he dealt with in the Scientology battle plan of dealing with off-plan people. So let's talk about education, PR, good PR, black PR, and litigation. You want to
I think
start
this
with
is well. I mean, I think this is just so you know. I don't. I think a lot of things have changed since that was the case. I think it's changed dramatically. Um, uh, I mean this 100%. That the how Miscavige acts today, if he were to act, if he would have acted like he does today, back in, let's say, 92, after he was at the helm for like 5 6 years, 92 93, I believe he would have been physically removed from the building, declared. They would have taken the keys to the everything. They'd have left him with $50 and told him to hit the streets. And that would have been the end of Miscavige. Now, I'm not suggesting that whoever took over wouldn't have been just as bad, if not worse, or whatever. I'm just
right,
saying the way he just ignores LRH, I never thought that day would come. Okay. And since it is here, right, just closing down the Paris Celebrity Center, he should have been declared and thrown out the window per LRH.
mm-hmm,
So the fact that he's able to just out and out ignore policy and then say, oh, I found it on Matchbook, LRH he wrote, add a semicolon or whatever. So now it's the new age of tech and buy everything again. Like, and then all these plans, even the ideal org is 100% against what LRH would have done.
I agree.
The fundraising through 700 different fronts is something LRH wouldn't have done. It exposes you just too much. And LRH knew how much heat he was getting just from the Scientology scam. He didn't need 14 other or 40 other scams going. That was enough. Okay,
Yeah,
so my point is, I don't think they're operating today in any way, shape, or form like they did then. Because remember, what you're talking about, LRH would have sued you for looking at him funny, okay? Just to keep you in court and to break you,
mm-hmm.
okay? Just to literally try to financially break you. Okay, they didn't have the anti-slap stuff back then.
That's one of
Okay,
his policies, right?
so but nowadays, if you notice, they haven't sued anybody in 30 years because they cannot afford to go through discovery.
Right.
They can't afford it.
Right.
Okay. And the last time someone actually sat on a, Deborah Cook, I mean, what did they, they wrote her a check, an 8-figure check to
Oh,
get
I'm
that to
sure.
disappear the next morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, and then they haven't sued anybody since. So
Because they're afraid of David Miscavige getting disposed.
he does not want to have any possibility of that occurring because he knows that's his undoing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe they're running it at all the same as they did before. I think OSA is a completely different animal now than it was under Render. I think they've reached an all-time. They also know that it's better to ignore a lot of stuff than it is to attack it. Like, because, in other words, they're always going to write checks to the police and to the government and to anybody to make life hard on their enemies. So that's not going to change. But if you notice, the old in 1992, people would have come out three, 4 wide out of AO and marched back and forth proudly to the parking lot.
Correct.
They wouldn't have given a shit how many people were there with signs and whatever. Okay. Now you see they hide. They got a everyone's got a David Copperfield their way in. So no one can see him, and it's just completely different. So I just don't think, just a long way of answering your question, I don't think they're doing that anymore. I don't think they follow that anymore.
Mm. Well,
But I'm happy to
little
discuss it.
different perspective a little is looking at like been reading Jenna Miscavige's old book or the book she wrote from a long time ago, how they used to have to take buses even a block there in Clearwater because of the protesters.
See, I don't know
So
anything about Clearwater. Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
there are a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similarities in reading back, looking at there's a bunch of names, and I'm not going to name names in those documents, but generically, and one I will because I know she talks about it a lot, is Tori Chrisman. And she's listed in those documents on their side of it, their side of the story versus her side of the story. And basically, their side of the story backs up what she said, that they gave her shit, they took her to court. She was this lovely Scientologist that was all gung ho, wrote letters, and then something happened, and then she was the spawn of Satan,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
And then what they did to her, um, they put people in her chats where she was the one that they were putting into the chats. Then they put people into her chats. They had somebody befriend her. They had somebody give her money to take care of a fine that she had. And I look at these tactics from old. There was another person. They found out what his potential trouble sources were. He happened to have been a sexual deviant. They knew that because of PCs, the folders and stuff. They knew that because of the past audit sessions. And so they exposed that or let it be exposed, not necessarily going in probably and writing a article about it, but they let it be exposed. They let
Right.
somebody else, they paid somebody else to say, "Hey, go expose this dude." They looked at another person's past crimes where they had got misdemeanors or issues in the past, then exposed them or brought them to light or made them to where the person needed to either go into hiding or had to defend themselves. So it was a lot of black PR that's brought out time and time again, many, many instances of so and so is going to go be their friend. They'll pop in. We don't know when in the next couple of days, but they'll have a new friend. All of a sudden, this new friend is there. It it's just all of those same tactics are now being played out. I see in front of my face. That's what I'm saying is the same.
Okay.
It, very similar. The PIs following you. Somebody going in, taking down your hard work, your stapled tech. Um, people giving you heck, having the trauma, having to be able to just disconnect from that. There's all sorts of stuff that still happens today that was happening then. And it's
No,
just
I agree with that. I agree
right,
with that. And my mind doesn't go into like inner because I'm brand new at this. So I also don't like what you just said. All now is hitting me because I wasn't even looking at that part because there was no interwebs. When this stuff, what I'm explaining to you, like came from a whole different headspace, and
right.
they would do this. They would absolutely corrupt you or try to get you to trip on a honeypot or do something. Um, That's all for sure. But the difference is there was an enormous number of proud Scientologists back then.
Right.
So it was a lot easier for them to affect you negatively. Now, let's say they put the hammer down on person X. The reality is there's probably going to be 17 people who are happy as hell to see the guy and go, thank God you're out,
Yeah,
and it's not going to affect them at all. And you can't find someone who doesn't know Scientology sucks. They just don't know why it sucks or how bad it sucks. They know it sucks.
right.
So that's completely different. And so it's a lot more difficult for them. Like, in other words, the only thing they have left is to sow chaos, right? But that's why it's up to the actual, to me, any protest is about its victims, or what the hell is it? So it's their only battle in my eyes is to take the focus off the victims. I don't care where you put it, just take it off the victims and chaos will ensue.
Right.
Then it's going to become, who do I like? Who do I this? Who do I appreciate? Oh, you did me wrong. You did this, blah, 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 blah. None of that has anything to do with what the hell you were there for. So
They are
every
taking
minute,
advantage of whatever chaos happens to be ensuing, so that way it takes off the focus we need to do, and that's to continue to black PR in their terms what they are doing. That that the Church of Scientology's doctrine, policy, and procedures, practices causes abuse. We were talking about this earlier. Causes abuse to children, Scientologists, and the elderly. And there's just no question about that whatsoever.
I ask people in my chat, I say, if everyone knew what you knew, what you know right now, would Scientology still exist? The answer is hell no.
Mm-mm.
Because, like I say, the average person, I've been all over this country a million times, and the average person thinks Scientology is literally a bunch of wacky people doing their little thing, space navy, Tom Cruise is a weirdo. What are you going to do?
Right.
I won't have nothing to do with it. I know it's nonsense and they ain't getting a buck from me. And that's just, and that's the end of it. They don't know if they saw, um, if someone would have followed me around, for 3 weeks and then put the most intense parts together in a 6 or 7 minute, short, people would have stormed the place. I don't care what the result. People would have stormed the place. and gotten me out. That's what would happen. And they know this. Okay. So I believe we can't lose as long as every day we do what we can to get people to associate that name with its abuses.
Mm-hmm.
And the low hanging fruit, Toronto, San Antonio, all these little crappy orgs, they got 6 people left in them. And that's only because 2 of them have been there 38 years. They're bringing in
Gonna lose them
$40
to attrition, right?
but they're bringing in $40 a month. Okay. You think Miscavige is going to write a check to help these people? There's no chance in hell. Okay. So if you just become a focal point for people to rally around all the abuse that they have found, you're going to do more harm than good by being there. So not only will Miscavige not help, he'll pull the plug. He'll say, "Why are we like imagine there's 37 people hanging out in front of Toronto Org, going, child abuse, child abuse." He's going to go, "Shut that shit down."
Right.
What? He brings in $130 a month. We're going to have $10 billion worth of bad press. Shut it down. There's
And
no
we've
other way to
seen
go. I
that
mean,
in
he'll shut down
Canada.
Paris. He'll shut down Toronto.
Yep, and we've
Okay.
seen that in Canada more and more. And Haggis Basher has a message for you. Look at your screen.
Hey. I love you, Haggis. Yeah, I mean, that's how I envision this anyway, is that there's so many parts of our country, and once you're painted with that brush, you just can't do business. You just can't do business. And when everyone is fired up, it's not like LA and stuff. When everyone's fired up, you could pay an Alabama sheriff when he sees that when that's turned the corner to child abuse, right? Instead of wacky whatever,
Right.
he's going to say, "Here's your money back.
I don't want to have nothing to do with it.
I ain't touching this. I
Yep.
don't need to do 700 years in jail. And you know what? I can't protect you. I can't do nothing." So they're going to pack the bags and leave. And I think the low hanging fruit we can take care of very, very easily. If everyone went out and just flyered the hell out of those towns, I'm doing 100 flyers a day. I've got 8 cities, I'm working on in 3.5 weeks. So, and most of my stuff is still up. I know the difference that a whole bunch, like if you had 4 or 5 people in these small towns, and you don't know when you get that right person. It's probably the sheriff's mama that puts a stop to it.
You're right there. Mamas or
Okay.
grandmas or meanies.
And I don't care, like, the worst people in the world, supposedly worst, most vicious, ferocious criminals on earth, all agree that child abusers are the worst.
The pedos
So,
and the child abusers. Yep.
so there's no way once people understand what occurs in this place. If everyone had to watch Surge's channel for 1 hour, they'd be out of business.
I agree. I agree. In part of their battle plan is the black PR, but it's also that first good PR and safe pointing. And that's where I know Windy City, that's where the larger cities have had the problem, and they still have the problem, is where they've been safe pointed, and the attrition, you still have people. Poe on the Go and Sir Crepitus and I showed pictures the other night of the safe pointing from LA. Karen Bass and Sheriff Baca, excuse me, and David Miscavige sitting there just having a love fest on the red carpet. It's ridiculous. And Karen Bass is now the mayor. So Chicago's no better. Chicago's just as bad, if not worse. where they have infiltrated. We need to cut those, and we need to make it Karen Bass, you need to see these. This is what you're still aligned with. Shame on you. You need to jump out of bed. Jump out of bed right now before you're going down with the ship, because this is happening nationwide. And that's the type of PR we need to put the scissors to. And it's what we were
Yeah.
talking about the other day, getting some flyers maybe over to the Chicago mayor's office or over to Karen Bass's office. Let's start plastering them with bad PR.
It's all going to come from the people, like yesterday, just it gave me goosebumps to hear, like, it had to be 20% of the cars, honking. And
Oh,
sometimes
more.
there
That
was
was so awesome.
that was incredible. And sometimes it'd be 80% of them. I mean, it was just, uh, I think we're a lot further along than we think we are, but I also think we have to a lot farther to go. Like, I believe LA, and Clearwater, you know, that's the last. If there's nothing left on this planet, those two will still be here, and that's when we'll get them, right. As far as that's when they'll go down. But Custard's last stand is going to be in Clearwater and Los Angeles.
And I truly believe Clearwater, because Clearwater and Los Angeles has enough friction going on right now. Clearwater, it's like they've said, ah, you guys have we're winning here. They nobody is bothering them in Clearwater. And I love Lori Plays, I love AA Ron, I love Dusty, and I love Jerry Sarasota. They're all incredible people. But basically, Scientology is doing this to them. They don't meet them. They don't bother them.
If you were in control, or I was in control, or anybody else was in control of Scientology, we're not going to be able to protect any of the low-hanging fruit, and it wouldn't be worth it anyway. But what we could do in these incredibly criminal, putrid towns, like where everything, I mean, I believe it's just various degrees of like, there might be 4 officers left, and I believe me, they're north of 45 that aren't on the take or something. I mean,
Right.
it's to that point where I don't think you can save politics and police in, Chicago, LA, Houston, Phoenix, play the big cities, Philly, New York. I think they're gone. I think it's basically a done deal. It's a wrap. They have the money to change laws to make sure we have to be 200 yards away and can only speak through a napkin, or they'll believe me, they are stronger than
Right.
we're giving them credit for in their base of strength, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
um but all these other places, St. Louis, all these other places are going to go down in flames, and no one's going to try to protect Las Vegas. There's 2 cars in the parking lot. Phoenix had no cars. I guess the only people there take the bus. So no one's going to protect that. They're just going to sell it. The scam's going to be up. They're going to sell the buildings, and then they're going to use that money to buy the next Karen Bass. What we do is put attention on. We have to make it where, again, it ain't about the money. In other words, like I said, that sheriff in Alabama, in Birmingham, when his mama says, "You're not going to have anything to do with this bullshit, I promise you that," and the sheriff's going to be like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I go, "Oh, I would help you. I got a bunch of scams running. I can't do yours. Sorry. Good luck. Sorry, everyone
Amen
hates you."
to the day we see that. Amen.
It's
I
going to
can't
happen.
wait.
In those smaller places, it's going to happen. As soon as we get people to equate Scientology with child abuse, it's a wrap in a lot of places. No, that money is no longer worth it. That money will bury you. And I think even Karen Bass knows the 25 grand she took, uh, it's cost her $500,000 in bad press. And you don't think other politicians see that taking $1 from them puts William Good on your ass? Who needs that headache? She
Right?
can't step out of a car without William already being there.
Right? Hey, he is definitely one of my heroes.
Oh,
I I
he's Superman.
applaud that man. Not only does he say what he needs to say, but can you imagine the list? Remember we were talking about the list of the people, the attackers that the Scientology put together that I'm going through. And you
Yeah.
know damn well, William Good, Scotty Hochstetter, Aaron Levin Smith Levin, sorry, Eric Rader. Okay, I can keep going, keep going, keep going. But every single one of you are profiled, what
Oh
your
yeah.
crimes were, what you've done in the past, where you've been, what's important to you. With William Good, family, his son's death, his activism, his cop watching, doing the right thing, those are all good things. And you keep seeing stuff being brought to him, and he just either he lets it run off from his bald head or he turns around. I love it when he was at the test center and that guy started acting up and he told everybody, "Turn around, don't look, just turn around. Don't let him bother you." That was so perfect.
That
Don't let
was.
him don't let him bother you. And, that's how he gets around it. "Okay, bring it on. Tell me my business sucked. Tell me my business to this, that. You don't know the facts, and you can't sue me." So he fights the things that need to be fought, and he lets other things go. And
Yeah.
that's a perfect, perfect protester.
He's a genius, he's not going to be. No one's going to knock him off track because he's solo, and that's why him and Aaron both said, and it makes sense. Anyone with a large platform, I could understand agreeing with those two, which is you have to, because at some point the chaos we're experiencing is going to, or I did experience, it's over for me now, is it's going to ensue. It's going to
It is.
happen. And he said so. He goes, this is something that happens and that's it. And then it'll fade away and the people who aren't real are going to get smelled out and people aren't going to want to work with them and they're going to go their own way. Okay. And, the people that matter don't want the drama. Okay.
Right.
And the people that matter want results and they want to support something that's moving forward in a positive direction that they agree with. Right.
Mhm.
And that's what the victims being in the forefront of your mind. There's families being ruined right now as we speak. There are children
Right.
crying right now as we speak. Okay.
Yep.
There are elderly who are incredibly ill that will not get any help as we speak. Okay. That can be made well again quickly, but won't and are going to pass. All of this shit is happening now. Okay. And I'm not interested in anything that doesn't have to do with supporting that. You know,
Mm.
I have no time for it. So, um, by being, solo and us all doing our own thing, then you can appreciate everyone who's doing their own thing and who's working towards advancing, getting to where we need to be. And that creates peace, that creates, and it refocuses everybody and it creates
Absolutely.
pride. You can't be prideful because your clique is more popular than another clique. What are you talking about, right? Who the hell cares? And I think we're also fortunate that a large portion of this movement um, is very familiar with William Good because he created it, right? So he started it. So it's like You know it's good. You know it's
Yeah,
the
at
right
least
thing
this
to
here in the
do.
LA area, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, everyone has the right to protest, and to put their best foot forward in the way they know how. And then people who appreciate them will find them, you know. Um, but everyone's going to find out you earn every bit of the support you get, right? By doing good things that advance the cause. So we're going to get back to that shortly, I think. And the last 2 weeks has been a beautiful time for me because I've literally cut off 100% of nonsense. I haven't spent 1 second of it. I go right to Cub's channel. I go right to Rika's channel. I go right to Miss Kim's channel, right to anyone's channel who's boots on the ground. Dan, Mindy,
Right.
anybody who's literally weakening the cult.
Every bit that we can take them off from their plan saves another child, saves another elderly person. So
And that makes me feel
every
good.
staple you make. So yeah, yesterday when you were driving around looking for Mindy and Dan Wax and they were on the Bronson Bridge and you got there and you saw what they were doing and then started giggling, made me laugh my butt off because it was so cute that you and Dan sat there giggling about that sign. That was
I
just
love
epic.
he's just great to be around. I mean, that's like I said, it's just everything about yesterday was glorious, and that's all I'm going to deal with because I'm doing it my way. And when I go down, I got some new stuff I got to pick up. Brisker sent me, and it's going to be absolutely hysterical. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll go down to Blue and have some fun with this. We're gonna we're gonna watch. We're gonna drive a couple people crazy while we're drinking lemonade, and it's gonna be funny.
Good.
Um, and I'll go. I don't care who's doing what. I'll always be nice to everybody. I always am. I'll always be pleasant to anyone who's pleasant with me. I wish everyone the best, no matter how they decide to protest or what they think is best. I wish them nothing but success. I don't have to carry anyone's flag but my own. And as a victim, I have a right to do that. I don't have to listen to anyone say anything about it. I don't have to. I have the right to go
100%.
do my thing. And, you know, anyone who wants to get in the way of that or lessen or belittle or weaken me is obviously has no part in is completely lost the plot. They have nothing to do with what we're here for. 100% worthless, if you ask me. So, and in fact, worse than worthless, they're a cancer. Okay,
And
so
that's really how I was describing it also. It is cancerous to not have everybody on the same page and the same plan. It is.
I mean, I'm saying however you go about your protest is fine. You know, when people ask me my opinion and stuff, I give it sometimes, and sometimes I don't. But um, it's never to belittle. It's just giving an opinion. That's it. And
Right.
I'm happy no matter how it goes down for people to be doing what they're doing, which is helping in any manner they see fit. Okay. Um, but I had to take control of my stuff again and realize no one has the right to tell me how I should go about what I'm doing. They didn't suffer through it. I did.
Mhm.
Okay. So if they want to help me, come help me, and if you don't, that's okay. But if you're trying to, belittle, weaken, or hurt me, whatever, you shouldn't be here. You're nuts. You're literally completely lost the plot. So that's how I view this. And
Well,
Some people like,
you're definitely making inroads, because when you get a PI assigned to you and you get people coming and taking down your flyers,
and
you
they
get a
even gave
thug
the guy a
taking down
Raider
your
hat.
flyer.
That irony was not missed on me.
No.
You could see the guy. You could bring him right up and show a picture of him on 3 days ago or whatever it was. You could see him clear as day, walking by me, and you can just stop it. But yeah, he got a Raider hat on. I thought that was funny.
That was a little irony.
But like I was saying the other day, like, can you imagine the heartburn Matt gives them and Chris gives them, right? They're there every day. I mean, so I mean, I love anyone doing whatever they do, but if you get in the way, you know, of
Well,
the victims,
it truly is, um, just feeding into their plan, their battle plan, to get us all confused and riled and working against each other. And part of the policy that they wrote was that we are all groups. We are a group when you're an attacker. So it doesn't
right?
matter what flavor we are whatsoever. If you're against Scientology, we're a group. And part of their policy is to make sure and divide and be divisive in the group. And that's their policy. That's what they're going to do. That's what they did 50 years ago. That's what they're going to do 20 years ago. That's what they're doing today. And pup, stop. And when they can get away with it, they're going to do it, and that's not going to stop.
Yeah. Um, what happens in these movements, whether it's natural or whether they started it or whether they paid someone off to make it that way or whatever the case is, the way to handle it is to go back to what in the hell am I here for? You know?
Right. The original
And it's
purpose.
not just the protesters, like I say, the chat, the supporters, everyone needs to just take a second and say, is this important enough for me to support it? Because like I would feel, this is just me personally, I would feel ridiculous if I put 900, if I invested 900 hours into something and I never actually did one single thing to advance it.
You're
Like,
right.
that's just too, I can understand, like, I'd be the kind, if I just like drama, okay, whenever someone's getting tased, you tune in, okay. But to actually spend an enormous amount of time into something and not go any further is strange. Like, find your jam. If I wasn't a victim of Scientology, I'd spend every minute of my time supporting animals. That's my jam.
Yeah.
I wouldn't spend 900 hours talking or watching people talk about helping animals. I would go help them. And I know it's never as fun as you think. Like, I spent a ton of hours at Project Wildlife, and 90% of their volunteers are women, in their 60s and stuff, and they can't move these damn cages. And
And
they're
what's
all
wrong with
on
that? You say
what?
that like that's a bad thing.
What I'm saying is just physically they couldn't. So I went in there and I would literally be in the sun cleaning. I cleaned probably 60 birds of prey cages, and I can't tell you how disgusting that is. Oh my word. And cleaned all these cages. I had to move all the cages that animals are in, and take a mop to the concrete floors. It's harder than hell. And I did so much hard work that they advanced me to a spot you're not supposed to get to until a year after 1 month. And but the point is, I understand some stuff, smelling shit and killing myself. That wasn't quite as fun as my idea of like petting something, or you know
Right,
what I
yeah.
mean? But I knew it was necessary, and it made me feel great to be able to pull that off, right? Because that was the only chance they had in doing that. So my point is, find what gets you motivated, and go do that. You know, if you're to the point where all you're doing is critiquing shit, but you're not involved, it's almost crazy. It's almost a bit crazy. Um, so if this isn't your jam, find what it is. But if this is, don't forget, just this is about the victims, and it's a horror show.
It is.
We don't have time to spend our energy and effort fighting each other, making everybody wrong or right. I wish everybody well. I mean, absolutely everybody. I hope everyone finds their jam, and I hope they do wonderful things. 100%.
I agree 100%. We all have a role to play. We all
But
do.
we just got to get back to talking about what matters. And that's the people that have been absolutely crushed because of this beast that's still going strong. So that's and I think it's really difficult right now for OSA, no matter what, because they don't have the public support they had 25 years ago.
You're absolutely correct.
They have damn near none. Okay, so politicians don't want to touch it for the most part. If you're not directly being paid, people know. And that's the other thing. Now, if you do sing Scientology's praise and you're waving the flag, people know you're paid off.
Exactly. Right?
There's no way you're not paid off. Would you let your daughter go in there like that bald dude who arrested Aaron and stuff? Who wasn't he a singer or something? And he goes. He's hired.
Timmy Talman.
Okay, so if you're the only guy in a city of 8 million people who's like Scientology, we know you're getting paid, bro. Okay. How come his kid? How come he doesn't bring his kid into LA Day for classes through the concourse? I thought he's a fan. He knows better. So I'm saying they're basically to the point now where, even when I talked to that guy from Hope of Hollywood, I don't know if you ever saw that stream, but I ran into a guy while I was chalking across at Kaiser, because it gets 100 times more people walking and seeing it, and the church is right there, right? So, and now it's really a bitch for them to erase it and everything. Anyway, so this guy asked me what I was doing and whatever, and he works at Hope of Hollywood right there on Edgemont and Fountain. They get groceries every day, so they do breakfast and dinner. All of their groceries come from Whole Foods, and I think he said Trader Joe's. And it's super fresh, organic, awesome shit, right? Every day. He said the stuff that the church, that the cult gives away on their Fugazi food drive, it's all stuff that's literally going to rot later today. So it's like vegetables that's literally almost rotted. Yeah. These people don't have refrigerators. They don't have a way to cook this stuff up, chop it up, It's just basically a bag of nonsense and garbage that they end up throwing away. So they don't even know how to fake it till they make it, is the reason I brought that up. Like, if you have $15 billion, you know what I do? I make a brilliant Dagwood sandwich, man, from Carnegie Deli. You know what I'm saying? And I got chips in there. I got pudding pops. I got a card. You name it, a bus pass. I mean, let's bring it. Are we going to get some press here? I mean, what are we doing? Now, you're still fake. You're still BS. But like, Scientology is the only place that goes, I know.
Let's give garbage away. That's a good thing to do. Yeah.
So the only people that have even seen what you give them are actually talking to saying you suck. I mean, it's just a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
But I know from my childhood, and that was one of the things, by the way, that always always I had a problem with, I was never okay with, was how they would treat anyone who didn't have a dollar. And that really irritated me because none of them had a dollar. Right?
Hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I bought a Sea Org member an ice cream, okay, or let them have a cigarette or whatever the hell when I was 18, 19. Because they don't have a dollar. But yet you're going to treat, you have $4 to your name, but you're going to treat this guy like he's a piece of garbage because he's got $5 to his name. It would just blow me away. And he's a degraded being. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a different perspective. I didn't think of it that way.
It's like, I've never seen people like not like unfortunate. There's not even a tiniest bit of caring, and it never made any sense to me. How can you be this good thing and this force in the nature, and you make us see all this North Korean propaganda of the volunteer ministers, Fugazi volunteer ministers, that they fly out everywhere and get a rental truck, fill it full of water, and give out some water bottles after you lost your house, like that did something.
Yeah,
Just
like
so they can
promotional video stuff. That's
save
about it.
point and take pictures. Yeah. And so you act like you care about everything, but you're in front of everyone, you show you don't. Real weird, That never sat with me.
Thank goodness.
But anyway, I don't think they have any way of fighting right now outside of like the stuff you just said. And that's really not going to work either. They can buy themselves a month here and there. But that's about what it's come down to. Because like our thing is correcting itself right now. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can feel it.
Yeah,
you can literally feel it.
It'll level itself off.
Yeah, we're at a place now where the focus is just going back to positivity. Like I feel like my room is now counter programming. Like my chat is if you're sick of nonsense and bullshit and you want to just enjoy yourself and be around like-minded people who want to close this place down and help the victims, come to my chat.
I told you, I go to John Poe's, Sir Crepitus, but usually Sir's and John's or yours. I truly enjoy your channels.
Thank you.
Truly enjoy them.
I tell everyone, you just have to be wonderful. That's the only thing you got to be in my room. That's it. That's it. We're not going to listen to any BS about anything or anyone. We're here for one reason: to support each other, give out hugs and high fives, and get busy. And we have fun doing it. I think I have the funniest chat in the world. I can't stop laughing half the time, and that's going to be prevailing soon enough. Because which one do you like better? Do you like being around stuff that does nothing whatsoever but makes things worse? Okay, do that.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised when you're alone soon enough. Okay, or the only people around you also don't care.
Well, part of their battle plan, the good PR, the black PR, and then the litigation, and I can see that they're going to start getting desperate, and more TROs and litigation is going to start coming up if we let them. That will happen because that's part of their battle plan.
That's why, though, I believe doing stuff like we did yesterday and what I'm doing renders them helpless.
Yep.
Okay, because what are you going to do? The police can't protect the church. They can't protect, the church when I'm putting up flyers in Canoga Park, 20 miles away. What, 25 miles? What do you want? The police are going to go, dude, right. I can't help it if people don't like you.
Yep.
Stop pissing people off. How about that? I don't know what to tell you. That's what's good. That's what the police will have to tell them.
Stop abusing kids. There you go. Simple as that.
If they could have gotten away with just writing a check to have us all beat up and thrown in a can somewhere, they would have done it. But in
They would have
reality,
done it.
this is with all the money in the world that there's two things they can do. They can, and they're both intimidation related, right? That you get thrown in cuffs, they waste 8 hours of your life, and you're handcuffed and amazingly uncomfortable, and you got to wait next to some guy who probably crapped his pants, and you got to sit next to him for 6 hours. That's joyful. And then they don't charge you with anything, and they send you home. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, you get the toughs like that guy who took all my shit down. And all I did was laugh at him when he was trying to do one that had, because I did another one with like 37 freaking staples in it. And and I know you're gonna get a you're gonna get the splinter tech trying to take it down. Anyway, so there's no way to intimidate me. I've gone through too much. I've paid the biggest price you can pay.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I don't care. Bring it, bring it. I don't care. There's nothing they can do. Anyone who knows me knows that if I told them whatever came from Scientology, it'd be immediately ignored. No one would care. So that's it's a complete waste of time. That's why intimidation doesn't work when it goes too far. And I think they already went too far. So now we all know it's a paper tiger. Or how come they didn't send guys to just, instead of knocking over the hot dogs, to knock everybody out? Because the juice ain't worth the squeeze. It doesn't work that way. They can't get away with it, or they would have done it. So we've seen their best. But that said, I do not think it's a good idea to do anything but kick the bear and leave. Okay? I think it's great. Just being there for 30 minutes puts them on red alert. I promise you, the entire complex, when Chris walks up halfway up the block and takes his seat, the entire complex is on DEFCON 5.
Yes,
Okay?
it is.
And when Matt shows up at 9 a.m, they're like, God damn, right? Here we go again. And they're
Another
on
day.
DEFCON 5.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I'm saying it's good to do that and to keep them interbulated, to use their word, right?
Yep.
Keep them going nuts. But do not underestimate the power of unlimited funds. Okay? If we stay in a ball right in front of them at their house, I don't want to hear anyone crying about what happens, because it ain't going to be good for us. And that's all I can say. So be real careful. Go kick the bear and go home. But if we congregate all our power and forces and stuff and try to make whatever, it's too easy to do what they're doing. And they've just started. But now they're going to try to get, the laws changed real quick here, where you got to be 25 yards away and all kinds of stuff. We can't bust in the doors. We can't dig our way down. It just, when we're done playing bullshit games, there's nothing we can actually do at Blue except irritate the absolute hell out of them.
Exactly. Through making sure that they're not getting their permits, making sure they're not getting the vacation on the road, make sure that they're having to deal with every process the legal way, step by step. That's a bitch for them, because they're used to having the green slid and not having to do anything. They,
I agree with peeing in every single bowl of Cheerios they pour,
yeah,
but then calling it there. Like, in other words, I'm not going to try to go flop in their guest house for the next 2 months. Okay, that won't go well for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
we have to be smart about that. Or,
Yep.
like I said, don't be surprised when things don't work well for you. So Like, the way that William comes in, irritates the shit out of them, and you don't see him again for 2 weeks, but they're still talking about him.
Well, that's my hats off to Audit LA. She
Yeah.
is one badass. She comes
Mhm.
in, irritates them, makes them think about what they're doing, and then she leaves. And then she comes back and goes, "Where's your permit? I don't see a permit posted. Where's this? Well, Mr. Officer Rand, you are just a prickly bear today." I mean, she just lets them have it little by little in a nice way. And she's one of my heroes, that's for sure.
I think she's fantastic. And that's really the way you got to fight somebody that has unlimited funds. And you don't want to do it in their backyard. They got all the cameras, they got everything. You know what I'm saying? And we're not going to always have, 16 people walking side by side doing all that. So we just got to be careful and don't underestimate them. If you push them far enough, you're not going to like the response, at Blue. So I'm saying we don't need to be there. It's completely immaterial, And like Miss Manage and I were talking about this months ago, everyone in Hollywood already hates them. You can't find somebody in Hollywood who doesn't, the Big Blue. So,
True,
it's
but that
sort of like
doesn't really mean much. They've got so much property over there that, you know, they
they're
kinda
they're
take.
they're not idiots, right? They're psychotic.
No.
It doesn't mean they're idiots. So they have
Right.
they are completely protected, completely insulated. We can irritate the hell out of them, and that's what we can do, and that's great. We should continue doing that, but we got to be smart, unless you want to see everyone get a TRO and worse.
And that's what it will come down to, right. That's why I thought us talking about their battle plan, what needs to happen, not that I'm there to do it, but it certainly doesn't hurt to strategize.
So,
That's
what do
all.
you
Just
think? What is your idea? Because like I understand they're gonna follow Chris around, right? They're gonna say, okay, what does he do? What is he like? How can we hurt him? Does he
yep,
have a girlfriend that we can mess with her work? Her livelihood.
yep.
They're gonna. That's the kind of stuff they do. Okay, how can I rock his cage? And that's what they're gonna try to do. And
That's
then
what they're gonna
hopefully
do.
they can
That's
make him
their
uncomfortable, where he
that's
says,
their
"Oh,
MO.
yeah." Um, but I think we have like it's it's just not like it used to be, because it used to be really scary with no internet. You were alone. Like, okay, when they had that person, they hired some, bum or a PI. They hire they told the cop to hire the PI to hire the bum who followed Nancy to the hotel.
Yep.
That's scary as hell. What was it? 1 in the morning? She's being followed. That's super spooky. Okay, for a woman by herself, that's insane. Um, but look at the reactions they're getting from us now. I mean, it's not like it used to be. Like, we all have backing that no one would have had before. If they did something, like, the worst thing that could have happened to them, and I've been saying this for 3 months, is if one of those idiots they hire messed up and pushed Jessica or Tori or whatever instead of the hot
Which
dog.
they have, right?
Um, but where something happened, right? Where someone
Right.
got hurt or whatever. That'd be the worst thing they could ever do, and they know this, so they're really stuck. Like, you saw the security guard talk to Chris, right? And he just ignored him the whole time, and then the guy's like, "Okay, good talk." You
Yeah,
have to
right?
keep walking, this and that and the other. Just didn't say a word, and the guy's like, "Okay, dokie." I mean, so we're already at that place where none of this shit is working anymore. Um, he's got a huge platform. Jessica's got a monstrous platform. So does Good. You know, it's like,
in continuing that PR is huge, because that is the PR, that's the flap that they can't have, that Scientology does not want to have. They don't need any black PR more than what they have now, because it really decreases their safe pointing efforts. That's all. And so right now, just making sure that we continue to turn that tide, continue to be every drop of water that we put into this makes a tidal wave. Continuing to do that. Continuing all of us to attack them from each angle, from the permits, from the road, from the government, from the protesters, from them losing lawsuits, from every different angle, and then attacking their safe pointing. It'll eventually work. It's not a tomorrow, but it'll eventually work. But nobody can back down. You can't go, oh, it's all good now. We've got some good, good black PR going. It's got to be relentless.
but we have our own voices. Back in the day, they could do everything with advertisements, billboards, phone calls, whatever, to ruin someone's rep, and they had no way of speaking back. And that's
Right.
why it was so effective. Nowadays, like, we also get to see so much of people's lives. Like, I love William so much. I don't really give a shit if they did show me something that was maybe not the most toward thing of all times. Like,
Yeah.
do you know he's at the bar doing shot after shot? I'd be like, great. I gotta know, where is it? I want to go have one with him.
Get me some limes.
Like, it's going to backfire. It won't even work. Now there's going to be a huge party, and he's going to be like, oh, Jesus, I like to have a couple by myself, and now there's 300 people in this fucking bar, and now the drinks are free. I mean,
And everybody's
forget about
screaming.
it. Like, I don't even know if anyone cares anymore. It's like, and you wouldn't believe anything that was ridiculous. They said, and he beat the hell out of this 93-year-old lady back in Wisconsin back in 1972. You're going to go, man, get out of here. This bullshit. You wouldn't even read it or hear it or watch it. It just fall on deaf ears, because we know his heart is gold, at least when it comes to this. And we also know everybody. Okay. It used to be you had to play the game where, you're absolutely perfect, and that's why you became a judge and not. No. We know everyone's flawed.
Correct.
Absolutely everybody is flawed.
We all have something.
Yeah. And so it's really not that big a deal when it comes to light. Um
And one thing that I'm really finding, and this is a little bit maybe off the battle plan, well, maybe not, is that this community, I'm finding, has a lot of forgiveness to it.
we're all flawed.
Yeah.
But again, if I see you doing amazing things fighting this cult, that's all I care about. I don't care that you don't get along with your mom, or your sister thinks you're an ass. I don't care. It just doesn't matter to me. It's like you haven't talked to your uncle in 12 years. Whatever, that's your business. Fighting the cult, you're amazing. So,
Right.
and now we get to see every single day. You could go look at your favorite streamer, and you can see the last 1,000 hours of what Paul Modesta's been up to. Dan has walked to New York City and back 7 times on that stream.
He has.
It's all there for you to see. So, it's sort of like, who gives a shit? Whatever the bad, you go find something. Everybody's got it. Let me see yours now. Like, that's my reaction. Okay, you want to bring me receipts on somebody? Okay, now let's see yours. Okay,
Right.
because The main reason in Scientology, it's always attack, never defend, because they can't afford for anyone to start talking about them for no other
and
reason.
and to always attack on somebody else's property or somebody else's land. They don't want to. That's why I'm saying we can't. We have step. We have to be relentless on blue and flag because that's what they want. They want to get us off their property physically and emotionally.
I think we just keep doing what we're doing as far as being wasps and pissing them off.
Yep.
If all we had was Matt and Chris, we've got blue going crazy. There's drinking problems. People are cleaning toilets all day long. Believe me, those just between those two, they've gone through hundreds of bottles of antacid. We're doing great. And I don't know if there's really anything you could do in Clearwater because they don't deal with the public. So
Yeah.
there's not a lot we can do there. But like I said, it's okay that they're safe in a couple places. When you got that kind of money, you got to know that's going to happen. But we already know South Africa, right? They had that $56,000 power bill a year ago or whatever, and Miscavige wouldn't pay it. Wouldn't pay it. So no one's going to convince me he gives a half a crap about what happens in St. Louis,
True.
Or Phoenix. He probably doesn't even remember what the building looks like. So I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. I think we've become stellar at keeping people from going in the doors. The public already doesn't like them. And good luck selling a book when someone says it's a cult. Child abuse, elder abuse. You're like, you know what? I'm good. Thanks. So bye-bye.
Right.
I
Right.
can see a movie now. It's okay. And we see that all the time at the test center, right? So we're so good at that. I say we put cameras up where we could see, hide some cameras. It only costs $10 a piece, and whenever they put the windows, the blinds up, we drive right back and make them close them again. I mean, I'm all for pissing them off, but like I said,
Yeah.
the way we don't win this until there's enough people who equate that name with its abuses.
It's the PR.
Um,
I 100% agree with you.
and that's exactly what William said.
Hmm.
He said it's a PR war. That's it. That's that. What else can you do? That's what this is. It's a PR war. So you get the communities behind you to say, yeah, we ain't okay with this. We're not okay with this.
Right.
That stupid Christmas stuff and all that. It's not going to work anymore. Okay, we know who you are. We know what you do. Okay, you're not going to get us in there with a free turkey or nothing else. Their days are numbered. But I think the low hanging fruit's going to go quickly, and when that goes, it's going to create, like, there's no way Scientology can keep a lid. The only reason it's still working is because they're so North Korea like. They're able to keep all these SO members from finding out the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
But one thing that no SO member knows, or very few know, this is what they're going to be the most North Korea about, is that there's nobody in these ideal orgs.
Yeah, I've heard people say that, and I've heard that's a great way to do that. The one thing, to go back to our original start to this, is the problem is that the original plan is to clear the planet, and that's what they have in their mind, is to clear the planet. And we as ex-Scientologists and never-ends are messing with their clearing the planet. And especially COs or SOs that are like second gens, because they don't know anything else.
But it's also a problem that they can't solve. Like, I'm not even worried about that at all, because let me tell you something. They don't want you to go up the bridge when you're on the S. So that's why, remember, Aaron said he was able to somehow, I don't know how he did it, but always not go to session.
Yeah.
We figured out a way to duck out of every most auditing. When you go clear, you know you don't have perfect memory. You were looking for your glasses for 10 minutes, they were on your head. My mom could never find her car keys. You know what I'm saying? Like, perfect memory, my ass. We go to the supermarket. Hey, Eric, did you bring the list? The hell we need a list for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect memory, right? So my point is, like, everyone knows this is BS anyway. So how much can your heart really be in that? I think the days are numbered if we all go home and never did a thing again. I think they're in a spiral that is literally a death spiral. I think we can speed it up tremendously to the point where there's nobody left in Scientology. And I'm a big believer that it's nowhere near the 25,000 or 30,000. I don't think it's anywhere remotely close to that. If we're talking about people on lines, okay, I bet you the number's 5,000.
Really. How many people
Worldwide.
how many people do you think are at Blue?
On lines, maybe 400 or 500.
Okay.
And by the way, I don't even know how I'm going to get to the 5,000. I really don't. But I'm just going to throw that out there.
Okay.
So, it's always, oh, look at this expansion, expansion, expansion. Well, they're going to have to make sure no one finds out these places closed. And another thing is, Scientology, it's also very North Korea, and it's a need to know thing. There's a lot of people who are compartmentalized in such a manner that they literally don't know about a lot of bad stuff.
Right. So
And
I'm
that's on
thinking,
purpose.
those the movie projectors, that would be cool to start putting pictures of the Phoenix org and the St. Louis org and all of
That
that,
would
and
be
just kind of,
great.
wouldn't that be great? Just start projecting them around the Blue or around
Like,
flat, going, look at these places.
you sort of survive the one. If you want to go basic survival for a Sea Org member, it's that the tech works if the ethics are in. Okay. So if these places go under, you leave me two choices, and only two. When I find out that Phoenix goes down, San Antonio and Toronto, and
Right.
either the tech doesn't work,
Or they were out of ethics.
but were they all out ethics to the point where they went under, all of them? Because you already know you've eaten a bunch of crow, a bunch of shite sandwiches in your 20-year Sea Org career for stuff you had nothing to do with, and you got in trouble because someone had to bypass and handle you when they themselves couldn't do anything about it.
Yep.
So everyone knows they've eaten a ton of them sandwiches when they didn't deserve them. You got $13 instead of 47, but you had nothing to do with that. You worked your 120 hours. Okay. The pressure is too high right now. It was never like that in the 90s and the 80s and the late 70s. It wasn't like that. It was the exact opposite. Now the pressure is so tremendous. You're on DEFCON 5 because of Matt and Chris. You got volumes and volumes and volumes and tapes and tapes and tapes. We can't get rid of if you're in that building, you're like, we can't get rid of Chris and Matt.
Oh, there's a
With
sign.
$15 billion. We can't get rid of
You are
these two
not
dudes.
making your stats because of good. You are not the Y is good. Or
right. And supposedly the why can never be something that's out of your control. The weather is not why people don't, bad weather is not why people don't buy Dynetics books.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So there's going to come a point in time where you either say to yourself, the tech doesn't work. We're doing it and nothing's happening. Our stats are just crashing, free falling, and we can't do nothing about it.
Or a sign, is your tech working?
I think we're going to see all these things close up, right? And then they'll throw everybody into Kansas City. Like that's the last organ that's doing any business. So what you'll do is you'll just tell everyone, go to KC, you know? And so they can make it look decent.
Yeah. That's kind of
But
scary, but
there's going to be a time, like I said, where the juice ain't worth the squeeze, and they need to bring everyone in. They're going to lose a ton of people, and then they're going to have to take the pressure off, take their foot off the gas, try to rehabilitate the relationships with the people that are still on board, and start selling stuff off. But we don't care about that. If they close, I don't care about anything except them not hurting anyone anymore. I don't care. They can take that money and go buy an island, whatever. Okay.
Right.
Go buy half of the Siberia or something and whatever.
They can go buy Epstein's old island. Who cares? Yeah.
You know, and then if you want to be there because you're an idiot, go ahead. You know, I don't have any problem with an adult wanting to be in a cult. If you're a trust fund kid and you want to belittle people and feel great about yourself by hurting others, it's probably a great place to be. Okay, so but that's adults, right? The children and the lack of care for the elderly and is disgusting. And I don't think anything they do works anymore. It's just not this. It's not the 50s. They came up with this in the 50s and 60s, right? So it just is. It's just not that applicable to 24. You know, the only thing that still works is the payola. So, you know, are we ever going to be treated right if we stay in front of blue? No. Are they going to keep hiring tough guys to punch you in the face? Yeah. But that's about all they got. This is not going to. This is not going to keep them from failing.
That's what they did 50 years ago, and that's what they're going to do today, because that's all they have.
They don't have the support anymore, so they can't just do stuff willy-nilly like they used to. They have to actually say, what are the consequences of this action? What's the pushback going to be? If we scared the shit out of Palma Dessa, what would be the pushback?
Right.
That juice ain't worth the squeeze. Eric
says, curious, if kids and elderly were let out of the church, would you be okay with a reformed Scientology via LRH, or do you think it all needs to be shut down?
Yeah, there's like my dad, he was under the impression that the tech was still good. It was the people running it. And you know, like my sister would be owed a lot of money for auditing, and they wouldn't pay her. They would just pay her willy-nilly, whatever they wanted to, 10% of what, you know, until they owed a lot of money. And then my dad went crazy and went into AO, and he left with a check. And of course his name was, you know, they didn't want to see him anymore. But the point is, what do they call that anyway? Independent Scientologists?
Yeah. Independents or the free.
Oh yeah, free zone or something.
Free zones, yeah.
But I think it's ridiculous. I think the tech is all worthless. And yes, I would have a problem with it because those drills are all evil. There's not a good purpose for any of the drills you do in Scientology. They just show you like a positive spin on what could be, but those are not what. That's not what they're for. And it's the only thing that works in Scientology is the mind control, and that's why I've always been of the belief that L. Ron Hubbard had nothing to do with it. Why is it that his stuff is so easy to see? I mean, read OT3. That's LRH. Get listen to one of his tapes. They're unlistenable. The guy sounds like he's just an idiot and completely out of touch. Nothing he says has works at all. Only the stuff he stole, right, just lock, stock, and barrel works. I mean, or seems okay, and stuff that other people wrote. Because I promise you, he didn't write those the top like he didn't write OT8. He was already completely not non-functioning. You can't. I mean, I know people who've been on a million pills. They don't get anything done. What do you think his hair and nails and everything looked like it did? He wasn't doing anything.
Right,
So
right.
I think he was a figurehead. And I think, I don't know which ones, but I think the alphabet agencies had everything to do with this, because don't forget, he failed at everything he ever touched, failed miserably. And he even came out with this great Dianetics book, right? And lost it in a year.
Yeah,
Left
I
to him. Left.
remember David Miscavige, when he was coming up through the ranks, he said power was assumed. And that's where he ended up taking it over, as he just assumed the power.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be there.
Uh-uh.
Um, but I think it was. I think this was a big. How can you do mind control without the physical harm? And I think they were able to create the same exact intense mind control that they were able to do with incredibly ferocious, incredibly unthinkable, unspeakable acts to create additional valences for each individual to use to survive through the day. And this was a way to do it without any of the physical. And what had happened is, instead of taking 6 months, it takes about 2 years. To me, it takes about a year to 2 years for you to get trapped in Scientology. And but the only thing that really works is the mind control. So I don't think he had anything to do with it. And I know they try to say the ARC triangle. That triangle, I mean, where do you see that? Absolutely everywhere. Okay. And I think that's just showing who's really in charge of this. But it doesn't matter. Like Miscavige is a figurehead. He's meaningless. If he wasn't there, people think, oh, if we got rid of Miscavige, it'd just be someone else. It doesn't matter.
It would be. Somebody else would just get moved into that position.
Wouldn't make any difference.
Because it's not any person that's doing, it's the doctrine and the policy and the practices that are doing the abuse. It truly is.
They have the if you get gains, it's because of LRH. If you don't, it's because you're out ethics. So I mean, that's the game, set, match right there. It doesn't matter who's on top of that. That's what keeps it all working. And it's not that they're helpless. Believe me, they're not. And I think they're going to end up going for 50 more years, but just with absolutely no students whatsoever. They're going to try to keep the scam alive. I don't think they're going to be able to. I think they're going to be sitting on $40 billion trillion, and the government's going to say, first of all, we want our cut. Okay. And
yeah.
And
right.
And why are you can't sit on that kind of money? The whole point of the like, they're in a big jam. You can't sit on cash and be a church. You have to be giving that to the community or buying stuff that promotes the church, church-like activities. You can't just be sitting on cash. So what happens when they start getting rid of these places that go under? I don't know what they do. I think they use all their front groups to move that cash out.
To move it around. That's right.
But I think the actual church itself is going to fail without our help in 10 years. I think with our help, it could fail in a year and a half.
Yeah, right. And that's what we need to do, because of because of the abuses that are going on. Yep. Every day is another day that another person's added to the list.
So to answer the first question and the real question of why we're here and all that, like the OSA tactics, they're just not applicable really outside of in 1980. If you showed someone was a bad guy or whatever, it could hurt them tremendously and they have no voice. Now people already have an idea who you are. It's very difficult to turn that opinion around. And if you're Scientology, it's probably impossible. So
but sometimes it's easier to manipulate that data to where you look worse than what you really are.
well, I mean, the only chance they have is what they is if they had anything to do with what our movement went through, the chaos and the nonsense, okay, then more power to them. I mean, not more power to them, but I'll give them a hand because that's really the only shot they had.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is they didn't get it done, and I don't think it's possible to get it done because there's too many good people involved in this that just gravitate towards the people who have their heads straight and positive because they're not here for entertainment. They're here to support people who desperately need our help.
Exactly. And I truly believe that. That's why I wanted to discuss and expose the battle plan. So that way we all kind of have a little bit of a trauma bonding, understand that this is just a phase, that they don't have anything new under the sun. It's all tried stuff that they've done in the past, and it worked for a little while in the past, but with the advances now, they're not going to take us down as protesters. They're not going to take us down as anti. It's
the
not going to
simple
happen.
fact that we all know that we are all flawed also makes what they do incredibly ineffective. Okay, because we all acted like we were perfect and good in the 80s. No matter, you could be doing blow all day long and going through 6 hookers a day, but guess what? All there is pictures of you helping old ladies with groceries up the stairs. People think you're a wonderful guy, right? Nowadays, people are like, almost the way I think I made this example a couple months ago, where like the Hells Angels used to be, I don't know if they still are, but they were the #1 supporter of Toys for Tots.
Right.
So they would literally bring, $2 million, and maybe all the money came from protection rackets and meth. I don't know, but I do know that
That they gave $2
250,000
million
children
worth of toys.
had an
Right.
unwrapped toy, or they would not have had a toy at all. So
Yeah.
I'm able to very easily look at that by itself and say, hey, good work. Because you could have spent that money on more meth. So good work with this one thing. I'm not saying you guys are, doing anything else good, because I don't know about anything else. But I'm happy that that these kids had those toys. Like we're able to decompartmentalize these kind of things where we never could before. It used to be, oh, you're a crappy group and I don't care what you do. Well, now it's like, okay, we still want to take you down, but well done on feeding the homeless for 3 years, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
So I think individually what that creates, again, is people not caring about your flaws and my flaws. They care about how hard and diligent and how much we care and where our heart and head is towards supporting victims in this. That's what they care about.
I agree.
The rest of it is just like, just who cares? Who cares? I mean, unless you're literally not, you don't have a flaw. Okay, fine. Then go ahead and point fingers. But I know, pointing a finger means there's 4 pointing back at me, right? Or 3, right? So I'm just saying this stuff. I think what this nonsense we just went through, what it demonstrated was that's not going to work either.
That's right.
Because the only people you're going to get who don't come back to our side, we don't need. So
You're
who
right.
cares? You know, I want to have 1 million subscribers so I can influence more people. That's it. Okay. But I always know if I had 1 million subscribers, only 100,000 of them are going to have anything to do with me at all in any facet or form. And then out of that, only 10,000 of them are going to, take any kind of, real strides towards anything. So that's the reason to get a bigger platform.
Correct.
But when these things happen, like Good talked about, when these things do happen, he said it all, and then it comes back down again, and the people who are here for the right reasons are going to reconvene and move forward stronger than ever.
Yep, and that's what we need to do. And we need to just take their battle plan, rip it up,
Yeah,
and continue on with what our agenda is. Our agenda. So
I
we
really
are
don't think
running
their
on
agenda
almost
works this
2
way.
hours here, darling.
Yeah, I'm good anytime. I can talk to you all day because I love you and you're just awesome. And
Oh, I love you too. I love
you
talking with you, and I love talking strategy with you. But definitely.
know, and I never
So,
say I'm right, and I've never tried to close anyone on my opinion. I'm just sharing my opinions. That's all. And they're coming from a place where I am very, very familiar with these bozos, and I could not be more confident today than I've ever been. Like there's nothing they could do about yesterday.
you're right.
Nothing.
You're right.
There's nothing they can do about me. They would have had 4 guys beat the shit out of me and leave me where they found me if that was even an option. Okay. So you're going to get people to intimidate. You ain't intimidating me. I'll do that. And like I said, he tore him down. I put him right back up, knowing he's going to come tear him down again. You know? And by the
Well,
way, Osa, the whole park that you took off, I put him back up.
okay, we got to tap, tap, tap. Osa, do like Natalie does. Tap, tap. Wake up, Osa.
Wake up. Yeah. So I mean, I don't fear them. I don't care. I think the only time we're in any kind of danger is if we sit in their living room.
Yeah.
Then you can't be too surprised if something pops off that ain't good. So I say kick them in the balls and run. That's the good way to do it. But by all means, everyone can do whatever they please. You know,
Just know
the
that,
problem.
and again, just know that they are looking at, they're making their plan, and they're looking at people. And if you have things in your past that might be a little bit dicey, then just know that that could come out. And that's, you know,
I
if they
don't think it's
wanted,
going to mean shit to anybody.
nope,
I
but
mean, not the
it's
people who
just
really help
knowing.
you. Who that's food for the people who are here for the wrong reasons.
You're right.
That's all that is. No one else is going to take a bite of that. You know, like I care what Mona did. That bad summer you had in '72. Well, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? I don't
I
care.
was only 7 years old, but I've never got a speeding ticket, but I did get a ticket for parking in a handicap spot once.
Ooh,
Ooh, and I wheeled in my wheelchair into the court because they made me go to court over it. The judge just kind of looked at me and shook his head and went, "Really?" I said, "I guess."
I would say that
Whatever.
no one. I would say no one has anything to fear because everyone knows everyone's flawed, and that's just the only game they can play.
Yep,
Okay. And the people who support you and believe in you, they know this. Like, and that's another thing why streaming helps us. Okay. Like you've been anyone who's followed me has been able to see me go batshit. They've seen me be really calm and collected. They've seen me be real smart. They've seen me be real stupid. They've seen me be manic, reactionary, loving.
yeah,
Now what? Okay, so
right.
you could put together something just off of my stuff that make me look like a complete idiot. But no one cares because if you know me, you know that's just nonsense. If you take the
That's
whole
right.
thing together and people get to know us now, and that protects us. And even if no one is going to follow your or anything else you do, if you're strong in this area, they're going to work with you. Just like I said, I'll put up flyers with Miscavige, David Miscavige himself. Okay, as long as he's putting up the flyers of himself at 4 foot 13 inches, and every other flyer I give him, I'll do it
Yep.
with him.
He'll
Okay,
bring the step stool so he can reach. Yeah.
so I mean, I'm okay with it, and so if people just put their head in the right place, we're damn near invincible because the truth's on our side.
It is.
If we're patient, we're damn near invincible. So, and they know this, and that's why they got to, pay somebody off to create absolute division. Uh, and it's really the only chance they have. But I think now that we've been through that, I think that ship has sailed also.
Yep, I think we just need to move on.
So I think we're in
Definitely
a
move
really
on.
good spot. I think we're in a really healthy spot. Um, I would like to see. Always remember this, because the real answers are never sexy. They're always super basic and pretty damn boring. Okay, that's why people
Unfortunately, you're
overlook them.
right.
That's why
You're
people
right.
overlook them. You know, I know it's great to have James Bond, come through the thing and get in and about, all this, but no, this is about making sure enough people equate the name with its abuses. There's nothing sexy about getting there. It's really boring and it's hard work, but it's work we can do, and there's
You're
nothing they can
exactly.
do about it. There's
There's nothing they
nothing
can do about it.
they can do about it. So if we just stay like that, we're going to end that place. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well,
So
we certainly enjoy your staple tech. We enjoy talking with you in your passion. And like when we first started, I'm sorry that sometimes things flood your feelings, and I'm sorry. I
not your
really
fault.
don't mean to do that. I know, but it still hurts. We hurt for you.
Like I
So,
say, going through it just makes me stronger. Um, like the same way that my heart's heavy for like what my sister went through, to confront like everything that happened to me, I have to look at me like it's not me,
eh,
because it still hurts too
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Um, and I haven't dealt with it for a half a century. So how the hell am I supposed to bottle it up and make any sense out of it in the moments that it hurts me?
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's why I told everybody, if you follow me, you're going to see the warts. You know what I mean? It's
We
if
love
you
you,
think I'm
Wart. We
calm,
love you, warts and all.
if you think I'm calm, cool, collected, or whatever, I'm not. I'm nuts, but I'm doing my best, and that's all I can do anyhow. So I'm
That's all
proud
we
of
can ask
myself,
for.
and that's really hard for me to do. Um, you know, uh, you always heard better late than never, but um, my family lives in my heart, and um, I know my mom and my sister would be real proud of me.
Well, we know they would be very proud of you, Eric. They
Uh,
would be very proud of you. They'd be giving you big hugs.
Let me show you something real quick before we go. Hold on.
Okay. Yep, lots of hearts, lots of love. Thank you, Jody Q. Thank you, A girl. I'm sorry, I'm not the best at typing while I'm trying to talk, you guys, because then I get off
This
topic.
is on my fridge. It's the last thing uh, my mom gave me.
Aw, a happy birthday present from Snoopy.
And
Aw, happy birthday from a mama. Aw, gonna make me
that's
cry. Gonna make me cry.
why I fight.
It's worth fighting for.
And because of this movement, I was able to find the courage and a method to do it. So I'm totally indebted to it. That's why I was so reactionary while it was getting blown up. And I think people can understand that. So, but now I figured out how to work this because, like I said, I'm brand new. I don't have any experience at this shit. So now,
I've got big shoulders, Eric, and more than welcome to any time. Say, hey, Mona, I need to vent. I need to talk. You go online, and there's a couple of thousand of us that'll just listen to you. That's all. We'll just listen to you. So you do that whenever you need to.
I appreciate that. I love you so much. Thank you. And I'm really, really positive. I've never been more positive, and I feel like we're really making headway. And there is a
I wish I was a fly on their battle plan whiteboard. Just looking at it because we're interbulating them.
and you know what's so great about that whiteboard is in Scientology, you're forced to get rid of your best people because at some point, right? Like I said, if you can't sell a Dynetics book with Pearl Snappy screaming, it's a pull, right? Well, your supervisor can't do it either. Your senior officer can't do it either, right? So,
Yeah.
so that salesperson who ends up getting the boot or going to the RPF might have been the best person they had. But Scientology makes you get rid of some of the best people you have. So, I mean, they're so screwed that whiteboard has, there's probably been 75 different operations going on against Matt. You've seen they all worked zero. Well, nothing.
Right.
The guy comes with 4 things to tape every day. There's nothing you can do. And now they finally, I don't know if you heard, but they called his family and they called him.
Yeah.
Okay. They called to threaten him. He needs to stop. Why don't you just say this? Listen, you're being incredibly effective. You're really effing us up. Okay. We need you to stop doing that.
We'll bring you donuts every morning.
And so they're screwed. They're so screwed. And the truth's on our side. If we're patient and we just understand it's a PR battle, they equate the name with the abuse, and we got it. So let's have fun getting there. And I just want to say again, thank you so much to everyone who's helped me and let me vent. you guys have saved my ass. So I can't
Love
tell
you,
you how much
Daddy.
that means.
Love you, love you. Bye. Air hugs.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.